Happy Saturday, folks. Doing a mailbag video for you today. Took your questions, give you my thoughts. It's really all about the NFL draft. A lot of questions about trades, trading up, down, player trades, who should the Lions draft, thoughts on all of that. That's what this video is all about. We're not even going to do an open. It's going to be a straight cold open here, and we're going to get right into it. And so, before we do, though, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Why is that? We are live for the NFL Draft. You want to hear and see what's taking place. Come on down, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. Let's get into the first question here. 97.1 the ticket said the Lions should trade up for a tight end in round one. What do you think? This came from Rico Beard. He was explaining, you could get a tight end, match him up with Sam LaPorta. It's not happening. This will go down as one of the dumbest takes I think I've heard in a long time. Here's the reason why that's not going to happen. You have Sam LaPorta. Why would you do that? Why would you trade up for a tight end in the first round of the draft? You're giving up draft capital to get a tight end. I would rather get a wide receiver than a tight end. I would rather get a lineman than a tight end, both sides of the ball. And I think that Brad Holmes would be wise, and he is wise, to not be getting a tight end or trading up for a tight end in the first round. We got Sam LaPorta, right? We got Brock Wright, who's got a decent contract. By the way, Shane Zylstra, we picked up free agent too, who's a blocking tight end. If the Lions are going to pick up a tight end, it'd be late in the draft, probably like 7th round, or just an undrafted rookie. Remember, Brock Wright was undrafted, right? He was undrafted. You can find players that can contribute. You don't necessarily need to use a first-round pick on a tight end. This is not the old eras of the Pettigrews and the Ebrons. This is a different era in Detroit. In the comments, would you trade up for a tight end? Y for yes and N for no. Next one, will the Lions trade up from 28, 50-50 here? Oh, 30-30, 33-33-33. Actually, I would probably put 40-40 and trading up or down, and then 20 and staying at 28. If the Lions feel that there's a player that is falling, and there's a couple players that could fall, we're keeping an eye on, right? Mikel Williams, he is, as of late, is starting to fall, at least from what I'm hearing, right? And same with players like Campbell, right? The linebacker, special linebacker, right? There could be, we got to see. We don't know what's going to happen in the draft. We don't know the boards of the other teams in front of the Lions. So they absolutely could trade up. If a player falls, we've seen it. He has literally traded up half the time in the first round. So, yeah, I don't know if they will, but I'll put 40% chance that they trade up, 40% chance they trade down, 20% chance they stay at 28. Now, in my mock draft, I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't have a trade, but that's because it's really hard to figure out a trade partner. When I did my pick, I did it with the idea of a potential trade up as well as if that player slid. So understand that that's kind of how I did it, because it's really difficult to kind of gauge on some of these things. Next question. Do you believe that the Lions will trade Jameson WIlliams? This rumor came up last week. Absolutely, I do not think they're going to trade Jameson WIlliams. It does not make sense this year. Let me keep repeating this. I get asked this a lot. He is on a rookie deal. He is a cheap wide receiver. Right now, he's slotted as the number 2. He did over 1,000 yards last year. Every single year since he's been in Detroit, he's progressed. This year is a big year for him. If he comes out and balls out and puts his head to the grind, and he's not thinking about drama or getting 15-yard penalties, he's a big part of this offense. He's going to help Jared Goff in this offense, try to take this team to a Super Bowl. You don't trade away a player who you've developed and is finally as good. It just doesn't make any sense for a rookie wide receiver who's going to take a while to develop. So no, I absolutely do not think that Jameson WIlliams gets traded. I don't. It's sponsored by Game Time, the #1 app, the best app, the app that I want you guys to get. It has so many great features, specialized in last-minute deals, and saves up to 60% when buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater. It don't matter. They have Game Time picks, making last-minute ticket buying easier than ever by quickly highlighting the best seats in the stadium. And there are so many events going on right now, whether it's concerts, baseball, Tigers, hockey, NBA, all that. And the best part, Game Time is right there. The prices is right there for you. So there's no hidden fees at checkout. Also, it's the lowest prices guaranteed. So if you find tickets that is cheaper on a different ticketing app service in the exact same seat, same row, same everything, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Go see the Tigers. Go see the Red Wings. Go see the Pistons. Go see anybody that comes to Detroit in concerts this summer. So get started today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. If you plug in Chat Sports, you're going to get $20 off your very first purchase. Again, you go to the redeem code section, you plug in Chat Sports to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms that apply. You have to create an account. You got to have an email to save that money. The link is going to be in the comment section and description of this video. So if you're buying Lions tickets or any tickets this year, make sure using Game Time. Download Game Time today. Put in CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Last minute tickets and lowest prices guaranteed. Let's go ahead and continue on here with the QA and the questions that you guys have. Before I answer this one, what would you do if you were the GM in this draft? What would you do, folks? Would you trade up, trade down, stay at the pick? I want to hear what you would do if you were the GM. Now, because this question was, what would I do if I was the general manager? Here would be my strategy. First off, I'm not the general manager. Brad Holmes knows more about me. Let's just keep that a buck. He is the general manager. He knows way more than I do, so my opinion really doesn't matter, right? But what I would do is I would look at options of going up. What would it take, say, to get to 12 area, to 15 or the 20s, just to gauge it. If it's too much, don't need to. I'll stand pat, right? See how the draft plays out. If a player starts to falling, maybe he gets up in there as the 20s and they like that player, maybe, or I would like that player, maybe I'd jump him and get him. But if I see multiple players falling, I could just honestly sit at 28 and take my pick. I think that there's a lot of players in this year's draft that is a lot of good depth at defensive line and offensive line, and I think if you sit at 28, you're going to get someone special there and potentially even trade back, right? So honestly, I would gauge it first, wait. If players are falling, I'll think about it. If not, I'm going to stand pat. That's what I would do and not force really any sort of decision. Next question here. Lions should trade for Trey Hendrickson. Thoughts on that? I don't think they're going to trade for him at all. The reason why is the money. We literally were talking about Jameson WIlliams because we can't pay Jameson WIlliams. That's what the thought process is. And Amik Robertson. You trade for Trey Hendrickson, he's going to get a gigantic contract, and you're probably not going to get, to bring back a Brian Branch or something of that nature, right? So Brad Holmes has stated he's not going to do it. I don't know how many times he's got to say that the Lions are not going to be making a big trade for a pass rusher. He tried to do it before the NFL trade deadline. He can only get Zadarius Smith. I am sure he called on Trey Hendrickson. He called on all these other players. They want too much. The Lions are not giving that. But most importantly, Trey Hendrickson wants a new deal, a new contract. The Lions are not going to do that. They're not in that type of business to give a big-time veteran money. They would like to get younger. They've talked about even getting younger at receiver. They've talked about these type of things. So that would go against everything that Brad Holmes has said and has done throughout his tenure, and I don't think the Lions are going to do that. I just don't. Next question here, what would you do if they draft a wide receiver? They're going to draft a wide receiver. I 100% believe they'll draft a wide receiver between rounds 3 and 4. That's where I got it pegged. If you're talking about pick 28, I would be shocked if they drafted a wide receiver that high. It would spell the doom or the end of Jameson WIlliams, not this year, in my opinion, but it would be next year. I don't see they're doing that. I don't. We have so much other needs, and there's wide receivers in all of the rounds. You got St. Brown in round 4. Brad Holmes even spoke to the media talking about the depth at wide receiver. You can get him later in the draft. He literally spoke about that. So I don't believe the Lions are going to be drafting a wide receiver at 28 or even in the second round. But the rounds 3 and back, yeah, 100% they're going to do that. What do you guys think? Should the Lions draft a wide receiver at 28? We'll do that question. And do you think the Lions will draft a wide receiver? We'll do 2 because I can't really tell from this question here. But they will draft a wide receiver. I don't believe it'll be 28. Should the Lions draft Jalen Milroe? No. Why? The Lions have kept 2 quarterbacks on the roster since Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell has been here. We already have 3 quarterbacks on the roster, Hendon Hooker and Allen, and obviously Jared Goff. Why would you draft him? It doesn't make sense. You draft him to then trade Hendon Hooker. The only way you could draft Milroe if you're to turn around and get a draft pick and back for Hendon Hooker, but that doesn't. Teams then would probably just draft Milroe instead of trading for Hooker, right? So no, the Lions shouldn't be drafting. They're not gonna. I don't even think they draft a quarterback in this year's draft. Maybe they'll pick up a undrafted free agent to compete and just do touches for training camp and won't make the team. We just got too much players right now, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not like these guys are going in and having 3 quarterbacks every year. You have not seen that with this regime. I don't think the Lions draft a quarterback at all. I don't. Only potential way is if they were to trade Hendon Hooker. That is the only way. What do you guys think? Do you think that they'll trade Hendon Hooker and draft a quarterback? Maybe you completely disagree with me and you think I'm ludicrous. Give me your thoughts on this one because it is interesting. I'm not going to lie. It is interesting. And maybe we do see some trades, right? DeAndre Swift was traded during the draft. That one made sense, though. Let's keep it a buck. He, in my opinion, didn't really fit what the Lions are trying to do at running back. They're trying to change that. So I think that's a little bit different, but maybe they do. Give me your thoughts, folks. Have a great Saturday. Adios.